First of all, on behalf of Venu Ganga Foundation and Water Policy Center, I invite all the participants and all the dignitaries over here. I welcome Satyajit Tambe, who is a good friend of mine and who is the president of Maharashtra Youth Congress and very active person in the social activities as well as a political sphere. And he has very, we can say, vast experience on the social cause and social issues as well as on the political issues as well. And he has his own views and whole, we can say, own approaches to look towards the very issues, social cause and social issues. On behalf of these two organizations, as I mentioned, Venu Ganga Foundation was established in 2011 to work particularly in the rural areas and rural agriculture and rural development. And then in 2014, we established Water Policy Center to look into the water issues and water crisis, to research particularly on water crisis and the policy issues on the water issues. But since last 2-3 years, we were working very silently. Silently in the sense, we were not very visible on the social media or online. So now we decided to go online, and we have prepared the website of this Water Policy Center. Before going to the this other next part, I'll just welcome all you people, and I'll just introduce people are here. My senior colleague and our team is there. Professor Saraswati Unni is there. Can you say hi once more? Professor Saraswati Unni is there. Mr. Milind Bavaskar is there, who is the president of Venu Ganga Foundation. Can you say hi? I think he has some technical issue from there. Then Aruna is there. My colleague Sangeeta Roy is there, and my colleague and friends are there. And okay, so now before making this webinar, before coming to the point where Satyajit Tambe is going to discuss or talk on the Maharashtra water policy or the water distribution policy of Maharashtra. And this is topic actually suggested by the Satyajit himself, because he said, I am very very much tired to talk on the COVID and youth and the impact of COVID and youth. So I need some new topic, and since he has done very much in this water sector, so he was interested. He's interested to speak in water and talk on the water policy center, he said. So why we should not go with the water policy center? But before I ask him to deliver his speech, I will ask our professor and the distinguished fellow with the Water Policy Center, Professor Saraswati Unni, to highlight some water-stressed regions in Maharashtra and India. She will just introduce the theme, and then we'll go with. After that, we will launch our website, and then we will go with the speech by Mr. Satyajit Tambe. Professor Saraswati Unni.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a very good evening to all of you. I welcome Mr. Satyajit Tambe. I'm happy to see you in person because I've been hearing a lot about you from Bavaskar. I congratulate Bavaskar, Asra Bavaskar, and Milind Bavaskar. I won't be visible.
Yes. You are visible.
Okay, so I congratulate the entire group for having gone online and rejuvenating the Water Policy Center. So basically, I wanted to discuss some very basic issues as a kind of, we can say, as a bag that will be delivered by Satyajit. So I was thinking of discussing, first of all, the All India impact of drought. 54% of India faces very high to extremely high water stress, and this actually impacts 500 million to 600 million people. And if you look at the regions under water stress, there are states ranging from Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Rajasthan, even some parts of Northeast states and Odisha as well. And coming to Maharashtra, Maharashtra has 36 districts Out of the 36 districts of Maharashtra, 12 are known to be drought prone. And of course, most of them are northern Maharashtra and Marathwada region, Aurangabad, Beed, Hingoli, Jalna, Nanded, Latur, Osmanabad, Parbhani, and I'm sure people here are aware of the other regions as well. If you look at the basic causes, okay, again, they're quite basic actually. The drying up of water, the drying up of rivers, climate change, lack of proper infrastructure, the unchecked water pollution, and most of all, the unsatisfactory or dissatisfactory planning and policy. Looking at the impacts, a wide range of impacts, as we know, as we all we can easily imagine, would be there as a result of water stress. First of all, drought-induced migration. My friend and colleague in the institution, Mrs. Angita, is an expert in migration, and I'm sure you're aware that climate, we can say internal climate migration would be one of the first impacts. Every year we see large number of people moving from the rural to the urban, and subsequent problems that arise because of this migration. Then gradual disappearance of agriculture. Okay, there are a lot of data which proves that slowly Maharashtra may begin importing, as it has happened in Kerala. Despite the success of the way in which Kerala has been managing COVID, people are not aware that it's importing most of its food grains. Okay, one of the reasons for this is migration, but that's very completely different from what we need to discuss right now. Electricity. There is also the impact of reduced supply of electricity because 17% of India is dependent on hydropower, and obviously the reduction of hydropower will the reduction of water and in the dams will result in reduced electricity, spread of disease. Yes, people have less water for hygiene, and obviously the side effects will be directly, it will affect their impact their health. Then the impact on urban India. Almost 21 cities, including Mumbai, Bangalore, New Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, are expected to run out of groundwater by 2020, affecting almost 100 million people. Okay, the overall impact would be on about 600 million people, or half the population, who are likely to face extreme water stress. Up to 75% of households in India would be impacted by this. Further, coming to the situation in Maharashtra during the time of COVID, as Bavaskar pointed out, if you look at what is happening in Marathwada and other drought-prone regions, the social distancing is almost, we can say, a mockery. Okay, when people are running out of water and are depending on tankers and crowd around the tanker, they need to do that because you have not created the proper, you have not recreated a strategy to deal with it. Okay, the crowding around in the tanker simply doesn't allow for social distancing at all. So who would you blame here? So this is a very simple example. Okay, in addition to that, there are many things that the government should have been prepared for. And let me also tell you before I come to way forward that I had a lot of hope in 2014 when I listened to the then Chief Minister who was appointed. I have been discussing this with the Bavaskar, and I said he was the first Chief Minister of Maharashtra to have brought out the concept of what is called moisture security. So I'm actually talking about Devendra Fadnavis. And though I do not, I would have preferred to speak more on policy and less on politics, I just wanted to tell you that I was very impressed because there was a long discussion on moisture security. However, as we all know, okay, the results are hardly there to see. But at the same time, in the sense that we have not reached anywhere near moisture security in Marathwada region, region and beyond, and all the other regions. So, but however, we cannot blame only one government or one particular chief minister. I would say successive governments have failed to they have had tunnel vision. I would say they not had long-term vision and have simply failed to look at the problems of regions beyond Western Maharashtra. So I'll just wind up and wait for I'm waiting to listen to Mr. Thambe. I'll just say that basically the way forward is sustainable water management, restoring and reviving traditional water harvesting, pollution control, and better sewage treatment, awareness and education. All this calls for very urgent action, but in a decentralized manner, because region to region, as we know, issues differ, manpower, skilled manpower differs, awareness of the people differs. So it's very important in a federal setup to have a very decentralized approach. Thank you, and I'm open to questions.
Okay. Now we'll go to launch the website. Okay, Satyajit, actually already published by this office. Hello, Satyajit, are you?
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
can hear you. The website is on the screen, and
Yes.
I congratulate Water Policy Center for coming up with this website, and I hope that this website will be very useful statistics wise and other policy wise to the people who would be interested in for water management and water policy of Maharashtra. I'm speaking in particular of Maharashtra, but I think this is a national level website, and it will keep on speaking about national level policy matters of water.
Okay. Thank you, Satyajit, for making the website, publishing the website online. And now the website is online. And now I call Mr. Satyajit to take over the charge and talk on this Maharashtra's water policy. Satyajit.
So, thank you very much, my dear friend, and who's a brain behind this Water Policy Center and Venu Ganga Foundation. I thank you for inviting me for this a very important program, I would say. And this is a need of an hour that we speak about water before it's too late. First of all, I would like to say, because I can see a lot of experts in this webinar, and I would like to say that I'm not an expert on water management or anything, but as a student of political science, as a political activist for last 20 years, and I was also a Jila Parishad member for 10 years, and a people's representative and a representative of 21st century young politicians, I personally feel that water is something which is ignored, I would say. And I was just listening to the professor who was speaking earlier that successive governments have failed. I would say they won't have. They are not failed, but I would say that they have not changed themselves according to the time. I would say, because if you see the history of Maharashtra, and I'll speak in English, Marathi, and Hindi combinedly, because I know there are mixed audience in this. So I'll speak in all three languages combinedly. First of all, though, you have to understand the history of Maharashtra when we speak about what governments have done in last 60 years. Maharashtra obviously was formed on 1st of May 1960, and there were very less number of dams. In fact, there were only dams which were made by British, and there are many dams which and the irrigation projects which were done by British in British era. But after independence, post-independence, and after Maharashtra was formed in 1960, two major projects were happened in Maharashtra, and that one was Koyna and another was Jayekwadi. These were the major projects, and there were a lot of like n number of minor projects which have taken place in last 60 years in Maharashtra. But despite of that, म्हणजे महाराष्ट्रामध्ये ज्यावेळेस महाराष्ट्राची स्थापना 1960 साली झाली, त्याच्या आधी फक्त ब्रिटिशांनी तयार केलेलेच धरणं महाराष्ट्रामध्ये होते. आणि ब्रिटिशांकडून स्वातंत्र्य मिळाल्यानंतर आता 1960 ला ज्यावेळेस महाराष्ट्राची स्थापना झाली, तेव्हा यशवंतराव चव्हाण महाराष्ट्राचे पहिले मुख्यमंत्री होते आणि त्यांनी कोयना धरणाच्या निर्मितीचा प्रकल्प हाती घेतला. अँड कोयना वॉज द प्रोजेक्ट विच वॉज लाईक it was a visionary project, I would say, because Yashwantrao Chavan had thought not only of a water dam, but also power generation through that water was something which was very visionary in 1960s. तर हे सगळं त्यांनी मागच्या या सगळ्या 60 वर्षामध्ये झालेलं आहे. आणि हे सगळं होऊन सुद्धा टुडे महाराष्ट्रा's irrigated land is just 18% of the land is under irrigation in Maharashtra, which is a very unfortunate number. फक्त 18%च आपलं सिंचनाखाली जमीन आहे, ओलिताखाली आहे, पाण्याखाली आहे. आणि हा आकडा आपल्या सगळ्यांच्या दृष्टीने फारच तसा दुर्दैवी आकडा आहे. कारण महाराष्ट्रामध्ये पोटेन्शियल खूप मोठं आहे पाण्याखाली येण्याचं, परंतु दुर्दैवाने त्याच्यामध्ये अजून काही गोष्टी होणं गरजेचं आहे. While I talk about this water policy of Maharashtra, so as I told you, I'm not an expert, but I would like to just share my observations and some solutions which I personally feel that it should be. Because Maharashtra's water policy is, if we prioritize Maharashtra's water policy, our first priority is always an agricultural water supply. Second is domestic and drinking water, and third is industry. Before 2011, our water policies priorities were different. First was agriculture, second was industry, and third was drinking and domestic supply. But we have changed our priorities in recent water policy, and according to that, now we are working. So Maharashtra definitely is trying hard to manage the water. But as a political activist, I always feel that whenever there are news, whenever there is a drought-like situation, or where there is a drought, and I always feel that, because I belong from Ahmednagar district, and there is always a traditional conflict in Maharashtra, just like Kaveri in South India, or Godavari, or maybe other major conflicts are there in southern part of India. If we see Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka, and Andhra, Maharashtra, Andhra, Karnataka. There are many, in fact, Gujarat, Maharashtra also, there are a lot of conflicts going on. And we have seen that in Maharashtra also, there are few conflicts, like because I belong from Ahmednagar district, Ahmednagar, Nasik, and Aurangabad and Marathwada. There is a conflict between these two regions. There is again a conflict between Western Maharashtra, Pune, Baramati, Solapur, Pune, Baramati, Sangli, Satara with Solapur and other districts. But I would like to point out over here is that we can't differentiate water situation like a region wise. Like somebody was saying earlier, कि Marathwada में पानी का like drought affected districts ज़्यादा है, and विदर्भ में भी बहुत ज्यादा है, and नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र में भी बहुत ज्यादा है. But I would say कि if we see there are small pockets. So like for example, if you take Sangli district में, Sangli district is a highly irrigated district, we say. But still in Sangli district, there are few talukas, like Tasgaon is there, Jat is there, then Khanapur taluka is there. वहां पे पानी ही नहीं है, वहां पे हमेशा ही ड्राउट होता है, हर साल ड्राउट होता है. इफ यू सी अहमदनगर फॉर दैट मैटर, इन अहमदनगर वी सी few irrigated talukas and few completely untouched by water. And within talukas also, if we see, like for example, my own taluka Sangamner, if I see Sangamner, half of my taluka is irrigated. And obviously I'll come to that another point, that was a lift irrigation. Otherwise the entire taluka was non-irrigated, but after like 1970s, and when sugar factories and all came up, lift irrigation came into position, and lift irrigation से आधा तालुका तो लिफ्ट अंडर वाटर हो गया है, irrigated हो गया है, but otherwise half of my taluka still needs tankers for drinking water. So you have to understand that, you know, the water policy can't be of a state. But my personal opinion is that water policy should be taluka wise, district wise, and in fact village wise. If we are able to do that kind of policy, and if we are able to do the micromanagement of water policy, हमें इसमें डेफिनेटली सक्सेस मिळू शकता है. त्याच्यामुळे पाणी वाटपाचं जे धोरण महाराष्ट्राचं आहे, याच्यातून आपण कायम पाहतो की वेगवेगळ्या जिल्ह्यांमध्ये वाद होत असतात. नगर, नाशिक असेल त्यांचं औरंगाबादशी वाद होत असतो, मराठवाड्याशी वाद होत असतो, तिकडं सांगली पुण्याच्या लोकांचा खाली सोलापूरवाल्यांशी वाद होत असतो, आणि हेड आणि टेल असं भांडण महाराष्ट्रामध्ये सातत्याने आपण पाहत आलेलो आहे. आणि म्हणून माझं स्पष्ट मत आहे की पाणी वाटपाचं धोरण जे आहे ते फक्त एक राज्याचं पूर्ण नसावं, तर ते पाणी वाटपाचं धोरण हे प्रत्येक जिल्हा वाईज, प्रत्येक तालुका वाईज आणि प्रत्येक गाव वाईज जर आपल्याला करता आलं तर निश्चितच त्याच्यामध्ये फार मोठा फरक होऊ शकतो असं माझं मत आहे. Today if we see that almost 60 to 70% of our water is used for agriculture, 20% of our water is used for drinking and domestic purpose, and only 10% or 20% of our water is used for industrial purpose. So I personally feel that we are working, in fact we are not at all working on recycle water. If we work on recycled water, पाण्याचा जर परत परत वापर करण्याच्या दृष्टीने जर आपण काम करायला लागलो तर we can save 10% or 15% of our water which has been used for industries, because industry can use recycled water. So we need lot of sewage treatment plants and lot of water management in that terms, so that we, instead of using our own water which is supposed to be used for agriculture or maybe drinking and domestic purpose, that should be the used water should be recycled, and that should be used for the industrial purpose, which can save our 10 to 15% of water uses in Maharashtra. One more thing which we have, like since I was child, I'm listening to this from various senior leaders and senior people, political people, that the water which goes to Arabian Sea should come back to, and we should use that water. We should use that water for rest of the Maharashtra. Like from Konkan, if we see, almost 90 to 100 TMC water is wasted, and that goes to the sea. जवळजवळ 90 ते 100 TMC पाणी एक कोकणामध्ये पाणी म्हणजे सह्याद्रीमध्ये पाऊस पडतो आणि त्या डोंगर दऱ्यांमधून ते समुद्राला जाऊन मिळतं, आणि 90 ते 100 TMC पाणी जे आहे ते आपण म्हणजे जवळजवळ जायकवाडी धरणा इतकं पाणी, ते पाणी जर आपण काही व्यवस्था करून जर ते पुन्हा महाराष्ट्रामध्ये आणू शकलो किंवा ते कुठं अडवू शकलो, त्याच्यावर धरणं जर मोठ्या प्रमाणावर होऊ शकले तर मोठं काम होऊ शकतं. परंतु त्याच्यामध्ये देखील मोठं काम होणं गरजेचं आहे, आणि त्यासाठी एक स्ट्रॉंग पॉलिटिकल विल ची पण गरज आहे असं मला वाटतं. बिकॉज I personally feel that I have seen lot of NGOs and non-political people and social people working on water management and water resource management and water policy. But I personally feel that this is completely a political issue, because the decision makers are politicians, and those who are sitting into the power positions. I personally feel that politicians, unless and until political people take interest and they show their will power to do something into water policy, I don't think that we can see any डिझायरेबल चेंज इंटू इट. कारण पाणी वाटपाचं धोरण आणि हे सगळा जो विषय आहे हा राजकीय व्यक्तींनी त्याच्यामध्ये येऊन काम करण्याचा आहे. आपण अनेक स्वयंसेवी संस्था एनजीओजला याच्यामध्ये काम करताना पाहतो, परंतु दुर्दैवाने राजकीय व्यक्ती याच्यामध्ये येत नाही, आणि जोपर्यंत राजकीय महत्वाकांक्षा, राजकीय इच्छाशक्ती असलेले लोक याच्यामध्ये काम करत नाही तोपर्यंत वॉटर पॉलिसीमध्ये फार मोठं काम होऊ शकतं असं मला वाटत नाही. आणि दिस इज अ पॉलिटिकल इश्यू. वॉटर is a political issue and it should be addressed like a political issue. This is my personal opinion. Unfortunately, no political party or unfortunately no political representatives are there who speak about water management unless there is drought, unless there is some severe calamities where they speak about it. So this is also one of the suggestions, because water has become a lot of and this water policy, when it was being designed in Maharashtra, I'm not sure how many representatives were involved into it, because I can see a very bureaucratic approach to the water policy of Maharashtra. जी वॉटर पॉलिसी महाराष्ट्राची तयार झालेली आहे त्याच्यामध्ये मला खूप अधिकाऱ्यांचंच इनपुट्स गेले असावेत असं मला वाटतं. त्याच्यामध्ये लोकप्रतिनिधींचे, सामाजिक संस्थांचे, जे नॉन पॉलिटिकल स्टेक होल्डर्स आहेत, सिव्हिल सोसायटी जे आहे, they should give their opinions in making a water policy. Farmers representation should be there, agricultural representation should be there, industry representation should be there. But unfortunately, I am not aware if it has happened. But because I can see की जे पॉलिसी डिसिजन आजपर्यंत घेतले, म्हणजे आपण काय म्हणतो की यशवंतराव चव्हाणांनी कोयन्याचं धरण बांधलं, शंकरराव चव्हाणांनी जायकवाडीच्या धरणाचं काम केलं, आणि या सगळ्यामुळं पॉलिटिकल विलमुळं आणि गावागावामध्ये लिफ्ट इरिगेशनचे कामं झाली, गावागावामध्ये छोटे छोटे धरणं झाले, याच्यामध्ये पॉलिटिकल विल जर असेल तर वॉटर मॅनेजमेंट ही होऊ शकते. वन ऑफ द मेजर इश्यूज वी ऑलवेज डिस्कस इज whenever there is a crisis or whenever there is a drought like situation or maybe drought, we always speak about sugar cane, we always speak about water wastage, like it is done in IPL or so, such events. So I personally feel that sugar cane च्या बाबतीमध्ये, ऊसाच्या बाबतीमध्ये पण आपण सातत्याने बोलत असतो की ऊसाचं पीक जे आहे त्याला खूप पाणी लागतं, आणि जवळजवळ आपण असं, दिस इज अन एस्टिमेट गिवन बाय समबडी दॅट 70% ऑफ ऍग्रिकल्चरल वॉटर इज युज्ड बाय ओनली क्रॉप दॅट इज शुगर केन. म्हणजे फक्त ऊसामध्ये 70%, म्हणजे जेवढं पाणी शेतीसाठी आपण राखीव ठेवतो त्यातलं 70% पाणी हे ऊसामध्ये जातं, असं काही शास्त्रज्ञांचं म्हणणं आहे, काही अभ्यासकांचं म्हणणं आहे. मग एवढं जर पाणी जर त्याच्यामध्ये जात असेल, we need to definitely work on it, because if we see today only 20% of our agriculture is a micro irrigation management, म्हणजे ज्याला ड्रिप इरिगेशन आपण म्हणतो, किंवा दुसरे जे मायक्रो इरिगेशनचे जे प्रोजेक्ट्स आहेत त्याच्यावर ओनली 20% ऑफ our land is under micro irrigation projects like drip irrigation and all. तर हे प्रमाण, म्हणजे when I go to Israel and when I speak to agriculturists there and when I speak to people who are working on water there, I feel ki why can't Maharashtra have at least 80-90% of drip irrigation? For that we need to come up with a very innovative programs. Because I've seen in last 20 years Maharashtra government and in fact government of India has always tried to promote drip irrigation, but still people are not using drip irrigation. I don't know why, but we have to take a massive campaign on it. ड्रीप इरिगेशन वर आपल्याला एक खूप मोठं काम करावं लागणार आहे, कारण आजही आपल्या एकूण शेतीच्या फक्त 20% शेती ही ड्रीप इरिगेशन वर चालू आहे. ही ड्रीप इरिगेशन वरची शेती जोपर्यंत आपली 70-80%, 90%, 100% पर्यंत जोपर्यंत जात नाही तोपर्यंत आपण पाण्याची बचत करू शकत नाही. कारण 1 एकर ऊसामध्ये किंवा 1 एकर कुठल्याही जर आपण याचं हे घेतलं, एखादं पीक घेतलं, तर ड्रीप इरिगेशन मुळे त्याचं 30 ते 35% त्याचं उत्पादन वाढल्याचं आजपर्यंत सिद्ध झालेलं आहे. सो इफ द यील्ड कॅन बी इन्क्रीज्ड बाय 35-40% बाय सेव्हिंग 40-50% ऑफ वॉटर, why are we not using drip irrigation as a key changing factor in this entire water management? This is also something which is surprising me. Frankly speaking, there are many challenges. I would say that one of the bigger challenge which is coming up is urbanization. Urbanization is growing like anything, especially in Mumbai, Pune, Nasik, and major cities like Nagpur, Aurangabad. Because of urbanization, our need of water is increasing, and if the demand is increasing, then definitely we have to do the water management again. Personally, I feel whenever I see fights and conflicts between two districts or two regions, I personally feel that this should not happen when because there is one Supreme Court ruling also into it that water, the ownership of the water is with the state and not with any region, district, person or any organization. पाण्याची जी मालकी असते ती त्या राज्याची असते, ती कोणत्या जिल्ह्याची किंवा कोणत्या गावाची किंवा कोणत्या विभागाची किंवा माणसाची व्यक्तीची अशी नसते. त्यामुळे त्याचं मॅनेजमेंट जे आहे ते राज्य डोळ्यासमोर ठेवून झालं पाहिजे. अँड ते जेव्हा आपण राज्य डोळ्यासमोर ठेवून त्याचे मॅनेजमेंट करू त्यावेळेस निश्चितच आपण सगळ्या विभागांना त्याच्यामध्ये न्याय देऊ शकतो. Because we have seen that since our birth, we have seen that Kaveri conflict is there, Krishna conflict is there, Narmada conflict is there, Godavari conflict is there. These conflicts are never-ending conflicts. And I think as a new generation politician, I personally feel that all political parties and all young politicians should come together, discuss these conflicts and try to resolve these conflicts, because a lot of our energy is going into these conflicts. A lot of court matters are going on, a lot of in fact, I would say there is a very surprising statistics from 2018 and 2019. Whenever there is a drought, the major cases, like in 2018, around 983 criminal cases were registered, like murder, fighting, gang rapes, and all sort of criminal cases were registered in 2018 when there was a drought, and these were all based on water. In 2019, in 2017, there were almost 800 or some odd cases. In 2018, there were 983 or some odd cases. So we have seen that it has a direct connection with the criminal fights also. So we have to basically take care of it. कारण आपण पाहिलं की जेव्हा जेव्हा दुष्काळ पडतो तेव्हा तेव्हा भांडणं, मारामाऱ्या, मर्डर होण्यापर्यंत, खून होण्यापर्यंतच्या केसेस होतात. 2018च्या दुष्काळामध्ये देशामध्ये 983 अशा केसेस झाल्या की ज्या डायरेक्टली गुन्हेगारी पार्श्वभूमीच्या होत्या. त्याच्यामुळे वी हॅव टू बी व्हेरी सिरियस. अँड आय पर्सनली फील दॅट ऍज अ सिव्हिल सोसायटी, ऍज अ कॉमनर आणि सर्वसामान्य जनतेने, युवकांनी विशेष करून, आणि राजकीय पक्षांवर दबाव आणला पाहिजे. we should be able to build a pressure on political parties. Like a professor was saying earlier that our earlier chief minister had mentioned about moisture and lot of new technologies which can create some water. But unfortunately, nothing happened in last 5 years. This is what she was saying. So I would like to say that, this is what was expected from a young chief minister. When I personally was very happy when Devendra Fadnavis became chief minister, because he was one of the youngest chief minister after Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar became chief minister at the age of 38, and Devendra Fadnavis became chief minister at the age of 42. So I think 42 was the age he should have done something miraculous in terms of this overdue conflicts like water and all. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, and unfortunately, we are discussing the same issues again and again every time. But from a water policy center, I expect that we should try and reach to the masses. We should try and reach to the stakeholders who are directly concerned with this water management. We should try to build a pressure. What is the job of think tank? What is the job of civil society? What is the job of any social organization? Our job is to build a pressure on government, and we should try to force government to make some policy decisions. And one of the major issues which I personally feel that we should take up is water management. Industry, water which is going to the Arabian Sea, we should try to save that water and bring back it to the rest of the Maharashtra. We should not look at water policy as a bureaucratic approach, but we should also give all the stakeholders their voices in this water management policy. I'm not an expert of water management. I'm not an expert of water policy. But as a student of politics, I always feel that, generations and generations we are talking about this water management, and there should be change. आपण आयुष्यभर कायम म्हणजे पिढ्यान पिढ्या आपण पाण्यावरून भांडतोय, आणि आपण काही लोक असं म्हणतात की काही वर्षांनंतर पाण्यावरून युद्ध होणार आहे. तर मग असं जर आपल्याला आत्ताच अंदाज आहे तर आपण त्याच्यावर सावध झालं पाहिजे. त्या पाणी वाटपाचं धोरण पुन्हा एकदा महाराष्ट्रामध्ये झालं पाहिजे. ते करत असताना तालुका, गाव, जिल्हा या सगळ्यांना केंद्रबिंदू ठेवून प्रत्येक गावागावाचं पाणी वाटपाचं धोरण त्याच्यामध्ये ठरलं पाहिजे. पाणी अडवा पाणी जिरवा जे आहे त्याचा जास्तीत जास्त उपयोग झाला पाहिजे. ड्रीप इरिगेशन साठी वी शुड हॅव अ मॅसिव्ह स्कीम. ड्रीप इरिगेशनला तुम्ही टुडे इफ वी गो टू एनी बँक, there is no such like there are some subsidies subsidies in terms of interest for the loans, but I would say if you are doing drip irrigation, farmers should get incentives. म्हणजे तुम्ही त्यांना लोन किंवा कर्जाच्या स्वरूपात नाही, तर एखादा शेतकरी जर ड्रीप इरिगेशन करणार असेल तर त्याच्या ड्रीप इरिगेशनला तुम्ही एखादं प्रोत्साहनपर स्कीम दिली पाहिजे. म्हणजे जो ड्रीप इरिगेशन मधून पीक घेईल त्याच्या पिकाला तुम्ही 10% जास्त भाव. म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल वी शुड हॅव सम स्कीम विच कैन मोटिवेट दोज फार्मर्स टू गो फॉर ड्रिप इरिगेशन. एनकरेजिंग स्कीम्स चाहिए. ऐसी स्कीम क्या हम ऐसे एक स्कीम बना सकते हैं कि दो फार्मर्स हु विल बी यूजिंग ड्रिप इरिगेशन विल गेट 10% मोर रेट फॉर देयर crop or for their fruits or for their vegetables, whatever they try to grow in their fields for 1 year. असं जर काही स्कीम आपण बनवू शकलो की जो शेतकरी ड्रीप इरिगेशन करतोय त्याला 1 वर्षासाठी 10% जास्त मोबदला मिळेल. वी हॅव टू थिंक आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स टू क्रिएट and motivate people, because our culture, Indian culture is a different culture, you know. We and we have to think of doing something encouraging into it. So I personally feel that I only expect that this water policy center should try and work as a pressure group on a government to think about water policy of Maharashtra in all the aspects and just not keep it as a bureaucratic approach. This is what I would like to say today. आज मला एवढंच आपल्याला सांगायचं आहे की या वॉटर पॉलिसी सेंटर जो थिंक टँक तयार झालाय त्यांनी सरकारवर दबाव तयार करण्याचा एक दबाव गट तयार करावा आणि महाराष्ट्रातल्या सगळ्या समाज घटकांना इन्व्हॉल्व्ह करून आपण कशा पद्धतीने याच्यामध्ये काम करू शकतो हे आपण काम केलं पाहिजे. ड्रीप इरिगेशन वर जास्त काम केलं पाहिजे. पाण्याच्या मॅनेजमेंटवर जास्त काम केलं पाहिजे. पाणी आपल्याकडं जे आहे त्याला वाचवण्यासाठी आपण सगळ्यांनी काम केलं पाहिजे. हेच या वॉटर पॉलिसी सेंटर कडून अपेक्षित आहे. मी रावसाहेब बावस्कर यांचं पुन्हा एकदा अभिनंदन करतो, आभार मानतो की त्यांनी एक चांगला उपक्रम केला आणि मला त्यासाठी बोलवलं आणि एक चांगली अपॉर्च्युनिटी या विषयाचा अभ्यास करण्याची दिली. धन्यवाद.
Thank you, Satyajit. You really, we touched the very important issue, and I'll come to this point later, because the points which you highlighted, I would like to mention here, like the participation of political representatives in the policy making on the water, and you also mentioned or highlighted the issues like how we are struggling generation to generations for the water distribution and for the water distribution, but still we are unable to find the solution. These issues, these conflicts are since a long time, but still we are unable to find the solutions. And it is you expected that the people, new generation, should come together and find a new approach that should not be the approach beyond the bureaucratic. So that's a good idea, and I also thank, and I assure that the expectation that you have asked for the water policy center will really try to be a concrete think tank in the water policy in Maharashtra and in country, and we will try to follow the ideas you have given, and we'll go with this idea and we'll try to create pressure on the government with some alternative ideas, with some alternative policies, policy options where we can go with the government, and we'll try to tackle with the water scarcity and water challenges which we are facing every year. I also appreciate the idea that you mentioned that the new water policy should be focused on the village. I mean, village as a model, village as a unit for the water policy, and that is really the idea which can be appreciated. Thank you for coming and giving this lecture and inaugurating our think tank. We expect your cooperation in the future as well. Before I open this floor for some questions from the audience, I also would like to mention we are also planning 2 events in future. One we are talking one plan future events we are planning on 20th May, which is about one plenary on the COVID-19 and the environment lessons from the pandemic is a plenary session. And after that, on 5th June, we are planning one COVID-19 dialogue, the reconstructing Maharashtra, where we are bringing people, experts from the various sectors, and we'll try to discuss how we can build a Maharashtra or construct new Maharashtra after this pandemic. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Satyajit. Now the floor is open. If you have any question, अगर आपको पास कुछ question है, कुछ सवाल आपको पूछना है, तो you just unmute your speaker on your device और आप directly question पूछ सकते हो. After asking question, you mute again your speaker, please. Hello, कोई question?
हॅलो
Yes.
सर, गाडे सर बोलतोय.
हाँ बोलो.
सर सर सत्यजित तांबे सरांनी खूप चांगले विचार मांडले, परंतु ते एक चांगले पॉलिटिशियन सुद्धा आहेत. त्यांनी आता सांगितलं की एक युथ किंवा लोकांनी प्रेशर तयार केला पाहिजे, परंतु ऑलरेडी डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांनी आपल्या भारत देशासाठी काही पॉलिसीज, वॉटर पॉलिसीज माझ्या माहितीप्रमाणे दिलेल्या आहेत. त्याचा काय याच्यासाठी उपयोग होऊ शकतो का, असा माझा प्रश्न आहे.
Okay, we'll take one more question. आणखी और किसके क्वेश्चन है? और कोई क्वेश्चन?
हा, माझं नाव मिथुन कुमार आहे.
ओके.
मला हे विचारायचं आहे की बदलत्या काळामध्ये जे शेतकऱ्यांच्या आत्महत्या होतात, तर त्या पाण्याच्या कमी प्रमाणामुळे किंवा आपल्याकडे मुबलक प्रमाणात पाणी असल्यामुळे आणि त्याचा प्रमाण त्यांना बरोबर मिळत नसल्यामुळे होतं, की जे सिस्टम आहे ज्याला पॉलिटिकल एक जे सत्ता येतं आपल्या हातात आणि सरकार त्याला राबवू इच्छितो, तर त्याच्यामध्ये एक क्लासिफाईड जे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होतं त्याच्यामुळे शेतकऱ्यांच्या आत्महत्या जास्त होतात का, हा प्रश्न मला विचारायचा वाटतं.
Satyajit, we'll go with these 2 questions and then we'll take another 2 questions.
Hello, Mr. Bavaskar.
Yeah, just sir, आपण पहिले या 2 प्रश्नांचं उत्तर घेऊया, त्यानंतर पुढचे 2 प्रश्न घेऊया.
Okay.
हा, तर मला दोन्ही प्रश्न म्हणजे खरं तर तुम्ही डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकरांचा उल्लेख केला आणि मी तर म्हणेल की डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर असतील किंवा आपले पहिले पंतप्रधान पंडित नेहरू असेल, ज्यांनी म्हणजे या सगळ्या लोकांनी जे मुद्दे मांडले होते पाणी वाटपाच्या धोरणाबाबतीत, धरणं आपल्याकडं 1947 नंतर जे झाले डॅम्स, मोठे मोठे डॅम झाले, हे सगळ्या गोष्टी आपण निश्चितच नजरअंदाज करू शकत नाही. माझं म्हणणं असं आहे की वेळ बदलत चाललेली आहे. 60 वर्षापूर्वी जो विचार मांडला होता तो कदाचित आज लागू असेलच असं नाही. आजचे चॅलेंजेस वेगळे आहे. त्यावेळेस कदाचित त्यांना एवढं वाटलं नसेल की मुंबई एवढं मोठं होऊ शकतं किंवा असे अर्बनायझेशन होऊ शकतं. तर पिण्याच्या पाण्याची रिक्वायरमेंट त्यांना माहित नव्हती. म्हणून आपण जर बघितलं तर पूर्वीच्या आपल्या वॉटर पॉलिसीमध्ये पहिलं प्राधान्य शेतीला असायचं, दुसरं असायचं इंडस्ट्रीला आणि तिसरं असायचं पिण्याच्या पाण्याला. आता आपण चेंज करत चाललेलो आहे. तर हे जे पॉलिसीमध्ये चेंजेस वेळोवेळी करायला पाहिजे हे त्या सरकारने करणं अपेक्षित आहे, परंतु दुर्दैवाने ते तशा पद्धतीने होताना दिसत नाहीये. म्हणून तो एक मुद्दा मी मत मांडलं होतं. आणि दुसरा मुद्दा शेतकऱ्यांच्या आत्महत्याच्या बाबतीमध्ये मांडला तर मला असं वाटतं की तुम्ही जे 3 कारणं सांगितले, एक म्हणजे पाणीच न मिळणे, एक म्हणजे मुबलक पाणी असून त्याला न मिळणे आणि तिसरं म्हणजे समाजामधले जे भेदभाव आहे तो एक कारण तुम्ही मला असं वाटतं सांगितलं. माझं तर म्हणणं आहे की तिन्ही कारणं जे आहेत ते शेतकऱ्यांच्या आत्महत्यासाठी हे आहेत, लागू आहेत. पहिलं तर नो डाऊट इफ देर इज अ वॉटर तर त्यांची शेती इरिगेटेड होऊ शकते, त्याच्यातून ते शेतीमाल काढू शकतात, त्याच्यातून त्यांना 2 पैसे मिळू शकतात. आणि दुसरं त्याच्यामध्ये असं आहे की सामाजिक पण प्रश्न आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये, खर्च पण आपले खूप आहेत. सोशल कमिटमेंट्स आर टू हाय इन महाराष्ट्र अँड पर्टिक्युलरली इन इंडिया. आय वुड से that we have so many social commitments like marriages, weddings, functions, all this stuff. So we are always burdened under the loans, debts. आणि म्हणून कायम आपल्या शेतकऱ्याला जर बघितलं तर कोणाला कोणाला काहीतरी देणं असतंच त्याला, आणि म्हणून तो एक फार मोठा परिणाम शेतकरी आत्महत्यामध्ये आहे असं मला वाटतं.
ओके, आपण पुढचा क्वेश्चन घेऊया.
Yeah.
SM वाघ सर. SM वाघ सर. SM वाघ सर, तुमचा क्वेश्चन विचारा. ओके, और किसी को कुछ क्वेश्चन है?
Dr. Poonam. Hello.
हाँ, yes, please.
Hello, Tambiji. I have one query. Like, I heard your lecture and the discussion what we had. It was regarding that you have been visiting, many countries abroad and trying to understand their way of irrigation and other things. So, do we have any agenda, those things here and brief our farmers here so that we can brief them, guide them with this technologies?
पूनम जी, आपका एक्चुअली आवाज ब्रेक हुआ है. कैन यू रिपीट द क्वेश्चन अगेन?
Yes. This is in concern, regarding the discussion we just had, and Tambeji explained that he had visited, abroad many countries, especially Israel, and he has seen the irrigation pattern over there. So, do we have any agenda that on the basis of things we are helping our farmers here? How can we upgrade them on same?
Okay.
Yeah, so I personally feel that when I mention about Israel and all, so it is just about water management. Israel is nothing special if we compare to our Indian in complete demography. So this is what I say, that we have to bring up some projects which will encourage people to go for micro management of water, just like drip irrigation is there, micro irrigation projects are there. And this has to happen. Unfortunately, we have certain schemes, but those all schemes are based on loans, and people don't want to go for loans. We need something which is not about loans. Now, if you see what Nirmala Sitharaman has said recently about after COVID, that complete 20 lakh crore package is based on loans.
Yes.
So we don't want loan-based things. We want something which can give them subsidized things, and it should be incentive-based.
Yeah.
So what I personally feel, that if the whoever farmer changes his farming pattern from the conventional style to the drip irrigation system, he should be given an incentive of giving 10% more on his produce for 1 year. If we are able to design certain kind of schemes, I'm sure our farmers will prefer to go because we don't want loan based things. First of all, our farmers don't want to go to the banks because the bankers are not very cooperative. So the challenge is from there. So we don't have to. That is the reason I'm saying that it should not get a bureaucratic approach.
Yeah, these many years we were never directly linked, associated as a scientist. We were only in R&D doing research. Okay, so when this invitation came to me that this is something out of box, something not relevant to my field, what I'm doing. Okay, and when Mr. Bavaskar, sent me that we are going to have some discussion, I don't know what to stop myself, and I said, I want to be part of this particular discussion to understand as a scientist. Okay, what is happening, outside lab. What we are doing. See, still we are working in lab, but then what is happening outside that? So, especially the farmers who are supporting us during this particular time. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Poonam. More 2 questions only, and then we will stop. More 2 questions only.
Yeah, last 2 questions. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sangeeta Roy here.
Please now.
Sir, but if you're saying you visited Israel, I believe Israel has got this technology of converting salt water into potable water. Would that technology at least help us in some way? If not, like you're saying, loans from banks and all is a very tedious thing, and it doesn't work out that way. But at least the technology, if the government is ready to build up that technology, bring it over here, and then help in some way, It can at least help the cities to do away with their domestic water issues, because I believe even in cities we have the builder lobby as a major lobby that is causing all the water issues here. So I just wanted your inputs on that.
Okay, the last question. कोई है और किसी कुछ
Yeah.
पूछना है?
Hello,
Last question. Yes.
hello,
Yes. Please introduce yourself. Who's?
hello, Mr. Balaskar.
हाँ सर, माइक जरा जवळ घ्या. माइक थोडा जवळ घ्या.
हा माझा एक प्रश्न असा आहे की आज 70 वर्षामध्ये हजारो कोटी रुपयाची दरवर्षी अर्थसंकल्पात तरतूद होते, तर त्या पैशांचं योग्य नियोजन झालेलं नाही. त्यामुळे वॉटर पॉलिसी मध्ये काहीतरी गडबड असते असं लक्षात येतं. उदाहरणार्थ पांढरे जे इंजिनियर होते पाटबंधारा खाते त्यांनी पण त्याच्यावर टीकात्मक केली होती. दुसरं 70 वर्षामध्ये नियोजनात असं की आज कोकणातलं पाणी पूर्णपणे वाहून जातं समुद्रामध्ये, तर इतक्या वर्षामध्ये हे जे आपले राजकीय नेते आहेत यांना हे दिसत नाही का, त्यांना ते नियोजन करता येत नाही का? आज त्या पाण्याचं जर नियोजन केलं असतं तर आज महाराष्ट्र देशामध्ये नंबर 1 राहिला असता इरिगेशनच्या डिपार्टमेंट. या संदर्भात तांबे साहेबांनी आपले विचार मांडावेत.
Okay. Yes.
So I'll answer both the questions. First is which Sangeeta madam has asked, which is a very interesting question. Can we can government think of converting salt water or sea water into a normal water? I would say that in Israel, I have seen a lot of researches done on water. One of the researches was obviously converting salt water into a normal water. One was converting water from a humidity, which is again a very interesting project. And and in fact these households, it can be domestically also used, like AC का जो compressor होता है उसके ऊपर you put a machine and convert that humidity into water, which basically you must have seen a lot of air conditioners having leakages of water and all, so that water can be used. So there are many projects, in fact, I would say, which can be done. But my basic point is that do we really have that kind of need to convert salt water into normal water? So personally, I feel that this is a very layman's opinion, because I'm not an expert on it. I don't have that statistics and figures, but I feel that if we manage our own water and rainwater, and even if we do rainwater harvesting, one point which I've missed into this is rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is also a very crucial point into it. Why can't we promote and use and bring a policy for rainwater harvesting, micro irrigation, and like somebody was mentioning about Konkan, the water which goes to Arabian Sea. Why can't we convert that, stop that water and bring that water back to the rest of the Maharashtra, or maybe for Konkan? In fact, in Konkan also, 3 months there is a drinking water problem. If we see in summers in Konkan, there are several hundred water tankers used for drinking water in Konkan itself. So why is there so mismanagement? This is definitely a question as a young political activist I personally feel, and that is what Water Policy Center should work on. This is what my opinion is. आणि 70 वर्षामध्ये काय झालं, 70 वर्षात डेफिनेटली आपण खूप मोठे कामं केलेले आहेत. 70 वर्षामध्ये आपण जिथं 70 वर्षापूर्वी होतो तिथून आजपर्यंतची प्रगती पाहिली तर मोठी प्रगती आपली झालेली आहे. हा, याच्यापेक्षा जास्त होऊ शकत होती का? तर निश्चित होऊ शकत होती. आणि जसं मी माझ्या पूर्ण अर्ध्या तासाच्या बोलण्यामध्ये सांगितलेलं आहे की आपण आता कोणातरी म्हणजे आमच्या पिढीने तरी, म्हणजे जी नवीन पिढी आहे, आमच्या पिढीने आता मागचं चर्चा करत बसण्यापेक्षा निदान पुढच्या 25 वर्षात 50 वर्षामध्ये महाराष्ट्राचं इरिगेशन कसं वाढू शकतं, त्यासाठी आपण काय काय केलं पाहिजे, ड्रिप इरिगेशनला कसं एनकरेजमेंट केली पाहिजे, प्रोत्साहन दिलं पाहिजे, कशा पद्धतीने आपण नवीन धरणं आणि छोटे छोटे पाणलोट क्षेत्राचे प्रकल्प करण्याचं आपण काम केलं पाहिजे. पाणी अडवा आणि पाणी जिरवाचं आपण कायम चर्चा करतो. त्या पाणी अडवा पाणी जिरवामध्ये प्रत्येक खेड्यामध्ये डीप सीसीटीच्या प्रोजेक्ट्स अवेलेबल आहेत. Water level in Maharashtra today has gone so deep, I'm telling you, that we have to take a borewell to 1,000 feet. This is a fact of the matter. And I think that, we need a drastic policy now. आणि ती वॉटर पॉलिसी करण्यासाठी सरकार कोणाचंही असो, त्या सरकारवर दबाव टाकण्याची एक यंत्रणा पाहिजे. आणि ती यंत्रणा आपल्या थिंक टँकच्या माध्यमातून उभी राहावी असं माझं एक्सपेक्टेशन आहे.
Thank you, Satyajit. I think now we'll stop this discussion here. And I think all the questions very brilliantly Satyajit has delivered the answer responses. And I think the issues which the participants have raised all are valuable, and we can say time related. And we need to work on that. And as Satyajit has asked us to be one of the forefront to create pressure on the policy makers in terms of ideas, in terms of mobilizing youth and other people in this process. So we'll work on that. We'll surely go with that. One point I would like to say over here is that the basic problem is here. Short rainfall is not issue in India. We have enough rainfall. The basic issue, the basic problem is that the management of the water, the management of the rainfall, the water which coming to the earth, but we are not managing, we are not saving the water, we are not the managing the water sources and the water which is going to the sea, and that is the main issue. And where there's a lag and there's a gap here, we as a think tank can work and concentrate. Thank you, Satyajit Tambe sir. Thank you all the participants once again.
Thank you.
All the participants. Also thanks all the dignitaries, Professor Ponni ma'am, and all the students, colleagues, and my teammates, and all the from the management from my think tank and organizations. I also thank our website designer Chetan Yagnik who prepared this website, and I also thanks the office of the Satyajit Tambe who prepared all this online meeting and who's taking care of all these things. Thank you, Satyajit Tambe sir. Thank you all the participants once again.
Thank you.
All the participants, all the dignitaries.